Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Performance E-Streaming. It is Thursday night, even. There we go. Thursday night, and we are here for the ANZCAR Cup. Yes, it is the cream rising to the top of the ANZCAR races, and it is the big boys tonight. It is the Cup, and we are going to get down and dirty at the last great Coliseum here at Bristol. It is the dirt. Your eyes are not deceiving you. We are running on the dirt tonight, so it should bring up an interesting race. I am, as ever, Mr. Carl Wilkinson with you. Joining me up here in the booth, I have Mr. Matty Hunter. How you going, Matt?
Yeah, good, Carl. Thank you for having me in.
Oh, well, I like to keep you around sometimes. It's always nice to have the company. But obviously, Bristol, very different drive tonight. We could see a few surprises and maybe a bit of a different victor tonight.
Yeah, small field. A lot of the big names electing to use this as a drop round means that it opens it up for somebody else to jump in, grab a win, and lock themselves into the chase.
Absolutely. So it'd be interesting to see how that one goes. So currently, championship-wise, locked into the chase, we have Andrew Dyson, Neil Pearson, and Daniel Heddershide, of course. Luke Rosella also getting a win this year, but obviously not going to be taking part in all around, so he won't be locked in. The regular standings, though, Dave Douglas jumps up to the lead of that with Edward Foster just behind him by 7 points. Just back behind him is Ruben Phelps. Then you've got Jai Schultz, Jamie Lancoas, Lachlan Erkio, Toby Stent, Joshua Garrett, Stevie Dubb, and Darren Lobb. So quite a few drivers there competing it out for the top 10 positions in the championship. And that's going to be an interesting battle as we see that one unfolding through the season. Paul Jackson and Trahair just at the bottom of the page as well. So, still chances for them to get in on points as well. So they've got to keep running, and look, consistency could pay off for that one. We're about to go into the race, and we'll run through the grid order when we get there. Track temperature, 24 degrees, air temperature 28. It's not going to make too much difference here, although a very hot air temperature could be hard for these things as the dirt does get into the air ducts and clog them up, so they can get very hot very quickly. But the main thing to keep an eye for is just making sure you don't go into the wall. Make sure you don't get damaged here. That's going to be a key feature, of course. Practice and, warm-up is over and done with, and we're about to get into round 8 of 36 of the championship. So let's run through the starting grid. It is Matty Ray taking his second pole of the season in the ANZCAR Cup, just on the inside of Toby Stent. On row number 2, we have Skerlock and Pearson. Third row sees Norman Clark lining up next to Ruben Phelps. Fourth row, we've got Mackenzie and Douglas. Row number 5 sees Dyson and Griffiths. Row 6 has got Jai Schultz, Christopher Tomlin. Row number 7 has got Riley Curtis, Daniel Heddershide. Tom Neal and Edward Foster make up a row number 8. Row number 9 sees Joshua Carroll next to Stevie Dubb. Brad Fenley, Gary Wellman are on the 10th row. 11th row, we've got Erquio and Curvis. And rounding out the field tonight, we have Luke Trahair in the 43. So just 23 cars out there. Still plenty of cars to have a race, though, which will be fun indeed. So you only need 2 cars to make a race. We've got 23 of them, so exciting stuff. 130 laps here as well, so it does gets very tricky. It's a long old race, of course, and it's so easy to get too many incident points and find yourself coming down pit road and taking a penalty, or of course even getting 17 of those points and finding yourself kicked out of the race. So they have to be a little bit careful here. It's very easy to rub against each other on this dirt track, and as the nice loose soft dirt wears away, it gets down to the very compact stuff, which can offer a little bit more grip, but it does change the surface of the track as you race on it. So the 83, Matty Ray, going to be out in front tonight, and I doubt he's going to be able to keep that car clean because all that dirt is going to get all over that thing. So he's going to need to give it a polish after the race.
Yeah, he will indeed. I don't know if he needs any tear-offs on the windscreen or on his helmet or not. I don't know whether they've got tear-offs in there or not, but he might need to change a few of those too.
That's it. Get mechanics out there with a squeegee on all the pit stops. Just get a little bit of windscreen real estate made up. There's a couple of pace laps here. The pace truck is out, of course. Very different pace car to what we usually see. It is the the big four-wheel drive truck out there, making sure that it could get through the dirt. But it's about to peel in here at Bristol, the last great Coliseum, and Edward Foster showing a nice paint job for that one tonight with the Coliseum styling. We're about to go green. I'm going to shut up. Let's enjoy these cars roar away here at Bristol. As the first lap ticks down, here is Toby Staten jumping to the lead of this race. He was saying, I heard him chatting before, he's not really ever done dirt racing, so this is new to him. He's just been practicing and doing, just trying to keep the car fast, and he's made that work so far tonight. Very quick out the front. He's got Michael Skurlock just behind him. Skurley is chasing him down, and the mean chop of a moustache on him is going to be getting into Stent's mirrors very, very shortly. Neil Pearson chucking up the inside of Matty Ray there, and here comes Dave Douglas too. Matty Ray just dropping a couple of positions at the start, but you can see a bit of a gap forming already on this track as drivers are just getting used to this. All keeping in the right direction so far. Good to see. A little bit of contact a bit further down the field though with Tom Neal and I think it was Gary Wellman. But Luke Traher also working his way up nicely. He's already gained 8 positions so far, so he's absolutely flying at the moment on the loose stuff.
Yeah, Luke opted not to set a qualifying lap. The only one who didn't opt to qualify, and starting from the back. But yeah, he's really flying. Him and Daniel Hederscheid as well, who's up 6 spots, and Dave Douglas is up 5 spots into third already.
And keep an eye at the front because Skurley is putting the pressure on and getting up there, getting up behind Stent at the moment and looking to, make a bit of a pass for the lead in the near future. We'll keep a bit of an eye on that, but there's plenty of action going on throughout the field at the moment. Lachlan Acquia having a good battle with Gary Wellman here on screen. As Acquia just gets underneath Wellman on the high side though, just uses that advantage just to get a better drive off the corner. Now Acquia's got the slide job underneath and goes up higher than Wellman and gets the move done. Very nice work there from Acquia.
Yeah, it's a nice pass here. Still riding on the high line there and using that momentum. A little bit harder tonight to get a 1X hitting the wall because we've seen a lot of people hit the wall already and no one's got an incident point. So yeah, you can give that wall a little bit of a tap by the looks of it with the back as it comes around. Oh,
contact, but we got a caution flag out as well, and that was not it. Who's brought out the caution flag? We'll find out in the very near future.
Just have a look and see if this might be it.
Scotty Griffiths in number 5. That's a bit of contact there in the slide between Griffiths and Darren McKenzie. And Darren McKenzie just gets underneath there and spins that car around. Edward Foster just sneaking through. The chariot that he's riding on tonight just squeezed through there. The pony's just stopping in time.
Yeah, I think Scott just got a little bit of over rotation there, and it slowed him down. And unfortunately, Darren just made contact there, just because Scott slowed down a lot more than what he thought he was going to do. And then the 53 down the bottom end just to get through there clean as well.
As well as JCW, 035. A lot of drivers deciding to come in for a pit stop here. Remember, in the Cup Series, you're allowed to make adjustments to the car after the start of the race. And I think a lot of drivers are tweaking the tyre pressures right now and getting the car more to their liking.
Yeah, we are seeing the timing data light up with people in pit stops. But yeah, you're right. I was wondering if anyone would use the opportunity to duck in and change tyres and make those changes that might suit them a bit better. I think everybody from about 9th down, Neil, with the ones that pitted.
Everybody from 7th down.
7th
so
down, yeah.
Fenley and Nankervis coming in as well now. So yeah, more than half the field. So Curtis Traher, Mackenzie Douglas, Skurlock and Stent deciding to keep it out. And it'd be interesting to see what those tweaks can do to the car, of course. And they can add a little bit of suspension, just change the suspension a tiny bit as well to bump in there. So change the ride height a little bit, change how the suspension sort of reacts a little bit. But the main one's, I think, is going to be tyre pressure. And imagine they're going to be whacking it up a little bit for dirt. Probably want it slightly higher, but this is where my knowledge of dirt racing is, ladies and gentlemen. Not very much at all.
No, we don't have much dirt race knowledge, and we don't have much knowledge about what changes you make to the car to actually make it better for you. So, yeah, but let's just assume they've gone in and done changes they think is going to help them get to the front.
That's it. I'm fine for actual proper racing, you know, for racing on closed tarmac. That I can understand, but when it comes to dirt, no, that is just witchcraft and magic, making these cars work on this dirt oval at the moment. And look, Bristol dirt is decisive, of course. Not everybody loves it, but it is pretty epic to see such a banked dirt oval. It is something else. Pace car is pulling in. Toby Stent's going to lead it away here. Drops the loud pedal, gets a good start up the front. They're all very squirrely as they get to turn one and chucking it in there. Of course, you chuck it in, get an armful of opposite lock. You've just got to basically drift the car around. And I think that's where Toby Stent's going to be getting a little bit of an advantage because he does know a bit about drifting. Skurlock almost loses it. He just saves it there on the exit. But Toby Stent is he's a bit of a keen hand at the old drifting business, and he's over in Japan at the moment where drifting is very popular. So that might be helping him out a little bit here on the loose stuff. Dave Douglas really making his way up towards Toby Stent now as well. As you see Skurlock dropping down next to the 53 of Foster at the moment. The chariot rider, we call him the Godfather, but he's going to be the chariot rider tonight. He's going to be battling it out, but Dave Douglas is all over the back of Stent at the moment, putting the pressure on. The number 10 versus the 189 here at Bristol.
Toby Stent's doing a really good job there, holding on to the lead as we see another caution.
Caution flag is out. As it looks like Daniel Hederscheid has gone around, and he's facing the wrong way on the straight. And I'd say that is because it's made contact with you. We'll watch here, but
hit the wrong button there. We're going back a little bit further than I'd hoped.
So we'll see here, and there's a little bit of contact going to be made between the 41 and the 335, and just on the exit there, just on the edge of rotation. And that brings it round fully, and around Hederscheid goes in 0.35. Curtis and Tomlin in pit lane, so a couple of drivers deciding as well as Fenley.
Yeah, I just think that the cars are getting a little bit of over rotation in the corner, and that sudden loss of speed there is catching the car that's right behind them out. And normally when you're on a tarmac, that would be all right because it'd just be a bit of a bump and the driver would be able to handle it. But because they're already on the very edge of out of control, just that little bump is causing them just to spin around there.
It's very easy to do, but one good thing is nobody's taken any damage by the looks of it from those spins. So we've seen 2 of those incidents now, and neither driver has really suffered any damage, which is nice for that because that means they can keep going. Just run through the top 10 while we're under the pace car. It's Toby Stent in the lead, Dave Douglas, Neil Pearson, Mackenzie Phelps. Reuben Phelps, very happy birthday to him. He is celebrating his birthday tonight in 5th position at the moment. Hopefully he can make it a podium, as that would be a nice celebration. Luke Trahair, the big mover at the moment, up 17 spots. Edward Foster in 7th, 8th for Dyson. Maddie Ray dropping down to 9th, and Michael Skurlock in 10th.
Just going to quickly have a look at something. I've just thought of something that might be something that would be quite interesting to know. I believe that it might be JCW's 300th race tonight. Joshua Carroll Warden's 300th ANZCAR race tonight.
Well, happy 300 to JCW, another one of those joining the club tonight, and it's always nice to see, and hopefully he can have some luck tonight and get up onto the podium. We saw Phelps doing it on his 200th. Maddie Ray, 300th the other week. It didn't go quite as well, but a brilliant stat to hit, and look, it's nice to see drivers keeping around for sure. So we're about to get back to green flag racing here. Won't be long for Toby Stent to drop the loud pedal. He does indeed. Gets that car pointing straight and nice and quick. Douglas a little bit slower on the restart. Didn't quite get it pointing the right way. Had to use the wall just to nudge it. Neil Pearson, though, the big gainer there, gets a really good run in the 62. Is putting pressure on the inside of Toby Stent at the moment and taking that tighter inside line. Of course, remember, Neil Pearson has pitted. He's made changes to that car. Is that going to help here? Will we see a big pace difference now from Pearson to Toby Stent? So it's going to be interesting to see what a difference that makes for pitting and changing a few bits, because in the earlier starts we saw these guys pulling away quite quickly, but now the rest of the field are keeping with them and actually gaining on Douglas and Stent, who are the one of only 4 cars to stay out, the other ones being Darren McKenzie and Luke Trahair at the moment. And those drivers that decided to stay out are all starting to slip down the leaders board, I'm noticing.
Yeah, I could see from the blimp shot that there was a little bit of a slick line coming in on the entry into the corners as well. So we're seeing the drivers definitely push up higher now or go down low. Just trying to find a bit of grip.
Of course, the racetrack evolution is huge on the dirt tracks, because when it changes when you get less dirt, less of the soft upper layer dirt on there. Sometimes it can make a car. Oh, Dave Douglas gets a big tank slapper down the straight, but now just to catch it, it does make the car feel a bit different. But you also get that big bank of dirt that goes up onto the edge of the corner. That nice big bump of dirt. And you can use that to run the car up there to sort of almost drag it around the walls, and you'll see cars doing that a little bit later in the stint. But at the moment, it looks like the drivers that made those adjustments are a lot happier on the low line. They are working very well. Fastest car out there at the moment, Neil Pearson, pulled out nearly a 2-second gap over Toby Stent. And look at Foster, he's come alive since he's made those changes, absolutely flying up the field, just passing Dave Douglas now.
And Phelps as well. The cars that have come in and pitted and made changes, they are definitely racing their way up to the front now. And the 4 or 5 cars, I think it is now, that haven't pitted, they're still doing okay, but I just think these other guys are quicker now with the changes that they've made.
Yeah, they're looking a lot more steady as Steve Williams pit lane, so he's obviously had to get some big repairs done, unfortunately.
Neil's just taken off. Wow.
And Foster now, he's up into P2, getting past Douglas and Toby Stent. And look at Dyson now, he's getting up behind those two as well. Stent and Douglas seem pretty even on pace at the moment. Ooh, contact mid corner there. They keep on moving though. Nice bit of door banging there on the track, and that's giving Dyson the opportunity to get a bit of a run. And it looks like Dyson might be able to get up into the position here. Doesn't quite make it, but he's going to try the slide job again. It looks like he's got so much more pace on the inside line, just taking that low line. It looks so much better there.
Yeah, they've definitely come alive with the stops they've made. Neil is the gap is now closing from Pearson back to Foster. It's only 1.5, and Foster is reducing that gap. So he's. Yeah, those guys have definitely done something in their pit stop, which has brought the car back to more to their liking, and they're now really taking advantage of it.
Yeah, Dave Douglas, he's dropped back to 7th position now. He's just falling down the order. Toby Stent's still up in P4, but not for long, because he's got Ruben Phelps right underneath him, and Phelps is putting him under all kinds of pressure as they're catching up to a couple of lapped cars now, so starting to lap some of the cars. And that adds an extra little bit of extra onto the track, as well as obviously don't have to get in the way. Don't have to get out of the way of the leaders. You race as you race, and you're racing to keep on the lead lap as well. But it is often the way that on dirt you don't really have full control of the car, and sometimes it can be very difficult to try and get out of the way of the leaders.
It can be, yeah. I know from my experience it's hard enough just keeping hold of the car, let alone trying to get past somebody.
Yeah, it's very difficult indeed. It's I'll say, not my expertise. Caution flag is out.
Gary Wellman's involved. He's parked up here. Let's have a look and see on the replay. find. That seems to be after the incident. Oh, no, Gary's already spun there.
Oh, and Mackenzie's made contact.
So there's a bit of contact up the front between Curvis and Williams. So Gary's come down to avoid it. And then just kind of spun out there. He's just trying to get back on the throttle and get it going again, and it's snapped out on him, I think. And there we are, yeah, so
There
it's
she
just
goes.
snapped. And then unfortunately, Darren McKenzie had nowhere to go and hits him right in the back there on that wheel, so that might be damage to those right side wheels for Gary there.
Not a fun thing to have happen. And, well, a few cars deciding to pit again in that one, and the main one was, well, main two, Neil Pearson and Edward Foster. They both came down pit lane. So they decided that they want some fresh boots or do a little bit more of a change. Everybody else kicking out there. So everybody now coming through pit lane. Everybody's made a pit stop. The driver that's been out there, so that's really changed things up for the front, because now Andrew Dyson's going to be in the lead with Ruben Phelps, Matty Ray, Daniel Hederscheid, Scotty Griffiths, Lachlan Urquhart, Josh Carroll, Jane Curvis, and then Pearson and Foster. So gives a couple of drivers the opportunity to get back on the lead lap. We're on lap 37 here tonight at Bristol Dirt. It is the last great Coliseum, and we are seeing it getting down and dirty tonight here for the ANZCAR Cup. And look, some good racing so far, but a couple of little incidents as we come to expect on this track, even without the fine layer of dust on top.
I'm quite surprised at how slicked up we can see there from the blimp view, how slicked up the entry is getting just after 37 laps of 130. So it'll be interesting to see what it's like at lap 100.
I remember racing here with I think it was the truck a while back, and it eventually got sort of so compact and slicked up you could almost run it like a normal track. And I started to find actual speed then, unsurprisingly. But it does change the way it works, and it's just that constant evolution. But you'll see some of the fast guys really sticking it up the top so they can get that bit of a flick spin in there, because, you know, unlike conventional tracks, sideways is fast on the dirt.
It'd be interesting to see if we get a bit of a cushion in the corners. So cushion, I don't know what the best way to describe it is, but at the high end of the track where the tyres run, it builds like a little bit of a hill, so it's like more banking really, and so you put your tyres on that and it helps you get the corner rotated in the corner, like basically banking on the oval track.
That is it, and we're back to green flag racing. Dyson leading away, and behind him he's got two very hungry SRM cars of Phelps and Matty Ray, with Daniel Hederscheid, Scotty Griffiths, Lachlan Urquhart, as we get back to green flag racing. And you can imagine keeping the car going sideways at speed. Dyson will be pretty happy with that. He's a jab hand at the old drifting as well, and likes to get the car kicking out a bit. So that won't be too new for him. But a few drivers, that's just not their natural style. I wonder how fast Douglas and Stent will be now that they've been able to change their cars as well, because we saw them absolutely flying out in the early stages, and we're seeing some good racing in the mid-pack now with Matty Ray just behind Daniel Hederscheid, and then you've got Scotty Griffiths there with Neil Pearson, Toby Stent, Lachlan Urquhart, all racing very hard at the moment. This is real tight stuff for positions around 6th to 10th positions. This race is going on. Scotty Griffiths getting a good run as we're 3 wide here at the moment as there's contact on the exit. They keep it going, and they do keep it going. Matty Ray getting a big whack in that one. He was getting a little bit of a sort of pong action there as he got battered between the... Oh, as around goes Scotty Griffiths. Little bit of contact between Toby Stent and Scotty Griffiths there, and that brings the caution out. So
Certainly.
that was some crazy racing there. Oh, I thought the caution was going to come out about a lap before then, when the cars were really banging against the wall and going round. But that time was a big one for Scotty Griffiths, unfortunately, and then Toby Stent going into the side with the nose. That will not have done the cooling any good on that Atari Mustang.
No, it wouldn't. And it looks like Foster might have got just a little bit of it as well. Well, he might have got away with it. We'll have a look here. So just riding on board with Foster.
And you can see just sort of going, where do I go? Where do I go? And just sneaks through.
If anything,
That by
it might be
the
the right rear. Yeah.
there was there was less than a cigarette paper in that one, and just looking at Foster's car, and there is not a scrape on it on that right rear. So I think he just got that through by the narrowest of margins. But that was close indeed. So caution flag out. We're on lap 45, 86 remaining here tonight. And well, if we get racing like we just saw, this is going to be a very entertaining night as well. Somebody just came over in pit lane. I think it might have been Gary Wellman. Just coming in pit lane and almost spun it, which, you know, it sounds very funny and a silly thing to do, but it is so hard getting into your pit box here because you're going from dirt onto the asphalt onto concrete. So you've got 3 different types of grip level, all in one short dash. There's a huge bump as you come off the dirt onto the tarmac and the concrete. So it's a very, very weird thing indeed, and the car just does not want to stop, of course. It's like driving on ice in that section. So it's just a really tricky thing to do to actually get into pit lane. Very easy to have an accident as well. So good job for Gary not to spin it up, but it looked like it was going around for a good couple of moments there.
Yeah, you're right. It's so easy to do. It is a very weird transition going from the dirt onto the asphalt and concrete, and yeah, so it's very weird. That's for sure.
And well, I mean, these cars are not exactly designed for dirt racing, are they? The Cup car, it's a very fast beast. You know, it's 700 odd horsepower underneath it. Lots of rear wheel drive only, of course. Quite a heavy car. Very big, wide tyres, of course, and you know, it's not really what you would say a dirt racing car should be. So it feels very wrong on this stuff.
It does, yeah. Yeah, I like the concept of the race and stuff. But you know, I think you're better off doing it with something like a late model, a dirt late model than a NASCAR Cup car. But yeah, that's what they're doing. Bristol's far too good of a track to put dirt on it and waste one of the Cup dates on that.
Yeah, that's the other thing. It's fun. It's such a good track. It does not deserve to be buried, but well, that's we have to live with it, unfortunately. Luckily, though, we can still take advantage of it in the sim racing world without the dirt on top. But we're back to green flag racing again. Dyson up front, and this time Toby Stent is coming at him very quickly after those changes. Looks like he is much quicker as Neil Pearson goes around. Will this bring out a caution flag? It does.
Yeah, that was pretty weird. Neil blinked in and out for a little bit there and then went spinning. So I think it might have been similar to the Luke Georgeson issue last night where he sort of blinked out for a bit and then came back, and you see there he just blinked in and out for a bit and then he was spinning.
Yeah, it was definitely, he's gone off to the shadow realm for a couple of seconds there, unfortunately, and it has it's taken its toll and sort of just caused the car just to get unsettled, and Neil Pearson's not been able to save it, sadly, and the caution flag is out. Luckily, though, nobody's made contact with anything, so it's just going to be a quick reset and back to the racing. Gives a couple of drivers a chance to come down pit lane, make a couple of changes, and Riley Curtis is doing that with Jai Schultz at the moment.
And it looks like Toby Stent was in front when the caution flag came out, so he is now the effective leader.
Yes, indeed. And look, one thing these drivers have to be a little bit cautious of, of course, is they do still have a tyre set limit of very close there as car just getting back on the lead lap. I think it's Gary Wellman almost collected JCW. Even on the slow laps, I think actually driving slow on the dirt in these cars is harder than driving fast because they just feel terrible in the slow stuff because the suspension just feels so stiff. But they still have their tyre limit, of course, so they can't go chopping and changing too quickly. They get 5 sets of tyres for the race, so plenty of tyres on offer. And of course, wear is not going to be a huge issue in that respect, but changing the pressures and changing the way the car feels, that's going to be the big advantage gainer, I think, tonight. So it looks like everybody's starting to settle in. Just looking down for Neil Pearson. He's dropped down to 15th position after that blink and spin for the DP car.
Not too bad for him. He's got enough speed that it shouldn't take him too long to work his way through there.
Yeah, I imagine we'll see him back to the front in the very near future. We've seen a couple of drivers just have some really good runs. Just from the back to the front so far, it's not that hard to do, luckily. Although, I think we may have lost one of our early favourites, Mr. Michael Skurlock. So we have lost Skurlock from this race, unfortunately. And possibly just a connection issue for Mr. Skurlock, which is really unfortunate to see, losing himself and Luke Trehair from this race. Two of the BMX bandits gone, but a shame because we were seeing some good runs from Trehair and Skurlock tonight.
Yeah, they definitely had a good short run pace. Maybe they weren't able to just keep up with the changes.
It looked like Skurlock had a connection failure, sadly. So obviously he's been doing too much business and he's hit his internet cap limit. So that's a shame for him. We're about to go back to green flag racing here at Bristol, and it's going to be Toby Stent and Andrew Dyson. This could be a juicy battle up front with two Atari cars behind. Dyson gets a little bit squirrely on the restart. Looks like that high line is very tricky to start on. And then you've just got a whole bunch of Atari cars behind. You've got Foster, Joshua Carroll, and Hedderscheid there, all up for position at the moment. Just behind them is Dave Douglas and Norman Clark as well. Norman Clark having a solid run here tonight. Christopher Tomlin up in the top 10 at the moment. Nice run for him, as well as Mackenzie. And Scotty Griffiths getting back up there too.
Ooh, Dave's on the wall, but he's managed to hold it off.
And the two at the front are just running away with it at the moment. They have just launched themselves away from the rest of the pack, Stent and Dyson. And now the battle is on just behind him as Dave Douglas gets a run on JCW, and he's got Matty Ray in his mirrors as well. Matty Ray getting a good slide job on too, as they're thinking about 3 into 1 here, as Matty Ray is quite comfortable on that very low line. Dave Douglas is happy in the middle. Looks like JCW is a little bit happier up the top at the moment. So we had multiple lines here. Neil Pearson working his way right back up there as well.
Yeah, that's actually Norman up there in that green and black car, battling with Matty Ray and Joshua Carroll-Warden. Dave's still in 10th spot, and Norman's battling hard for 5th spot there.
The trouble of similar paint jobs when I'm sitting a bit further away. Great job for Norman Clark, mate. He's really putting it on tonight and keeping up at the front. All of that rally experience coming back for Mr. Norman Clark, as a little bit further back, one of the inside lane cars was just almost pointing in the wrong direction. I think it was Christopher Tomlin, but he keeps it off wall, keeps it pointing the right way. As we see Neil Pearson now getting up there and battling it out with Matty Ray just getting ahead, and you've got Jamie Curvis, I think, just going a lap down there.
Jamie was the one that was a bit slow on the inside there and got past.
As Neil Pearson makes a big lunge for the inside now, and will Norman Clark be able to hold him off on the high side? Doesn't quite. Neil Pearson just gets the run on the inside there. The 62 working its way back up the field nicely. and Scotty Griffiths as well, just getting up underneath JCW in the background too. This battle is getting pretty tasty as well. Lots of good little fights going on at the track at the moment. Far too many to cover as well, which is always a good problem to have. The sun's starting to set as well, so we will be getting into night time here, and hopefully we've paid the bills for the floodlights, so they will get turned on and everybody can see as Maddie Ray makes a big pass on Daniel Hederscheid there and makes the move. A little bit of bump and run, a little bit of door-to-door contact, but the caution flag is out now, and it is out for Scotty Griffiths. So we'll see what happened to the 5 here, as he's had a little bit of a moment, got sideways, and then just clipped Lachlan Urquio's rear. And again, the car just got unsettled, and around Scotty Griffiths go. He'll be kicking himself for that one. And just a simple little moment there, easy thing to happen. But when it goes wrong very, very quickly.
I think Scott was down really low there, trying to search for a different line off that greasy, slick part in the middle of the track now. So they're definitely moving around the track looking for more grip. And yeah, unfortunately, Scotty's got down there and it's just got him a little bit unsettled, and he hasn't been able to catch it and fishtailed and just clipped the 42 on the way through.
And all it takes is that little mistake, and things can go downhill. A couple of people coming down pit lane again, just to get some repairs done possibly. We've got Christopher Tomlin, Norman Clark in though. Norman Clark's down, was up quite high, so he's decided he's going to come in and get a few changes to that car and get back out on track. So a lot of people playing around with this car at the moment, and a lot of different strategies going on as well. So lots of different things as we just click into the halfway distance from lap 65 of 130. 65 laps remaining here at Bristol.
We can see from this shot as well that slicking off of the dirt track. I'll see if we can see it a bit better as well in some of these other shots, but yeah, you can definitely see that, and I think the drivers are going to be moving. You're going to be running right close to the fence now, or running really, really low.
Yeah, it's going to change the way this track works, and look, I guess one of the other things that you're not going to see quite as much sort of from this angle is just with the sun setting. Sometimes you do get a little bit of shine off of the track when you're running in the car, and you can get those sort of that little bit of reflection off the dirt where the track's been compressed a little bit, and that can just make it a little bit tricky to see sometimes, because you always get blinded when that sun just sets in a certain way. So hopefully everybody's going to avoid that one, but it can just get a little bit harder to see, and it's not easy to see in the first place. You don't need anything else making it worse out there. We're on board with Scotty Griffiths at the moment, and just gives you a bit of an idea of what they're looking at in the car. And of course, when you're racing in these things, you're generally looking sideways most of the time. So it's again another little weird thing in this sort of racing. It sometimes pays off to have the VR set for this kind of thing.
Being able to move your head around is very helpful. A lot better with the VR, being able to really move that head around and see where you are and sliding to. But yeah, I think triple screens would be alright. I wouldn't want to have a single screen doing it though.
No, it would be very difficult with a single screen. Yeah, so maybe a nice big ultra wide monitor will help, but yeah, it's not going to be easy in those respects. I would definitely consider cracking the old VR out for this moment at least. Pace truck is coming in though. We're about to go green here, lap 67, 63 remaining. Dyson versus Stent on the lead, and Toby Stent just gets out in front once again. Maddie Ray with Edward Foster just behind them, battling out. Will Dyson make the lunge here, get past Toby Stent, or will Stent be able to stay up front here? He's keeping the car in a good position at the moment. Just behind him, Neil Pearson making his way back up to the front of the field. He's got Edward Foster for company as well as Maddie Ray. They get very close on the exit there. Maddie Ray taking a slightly higher line. Neil Pearson on low at the moment. And what you're talking about, Matt, the sort of that high line is looking more comfortable possibly than the midline. Andrew Dyson has taken advantage of that. Neil Pearson taking advantage of the real low stuff, although he's chopping and changing as it goes.
Dyson's looking to use that cushion if there is one up the top. Although he's pretty comfortable in the middle of the track there on the real slick bar. Toby Stent has definitely taken off on this run, almost a second lead now.
And he's flying here, and for a driver with not much experience of dirt racing, it's not showing at the moment. He is absolutely going great guns out there, and he could be looking good tonight. We won't put too much of a curse on him. Matty Ray having a really solid run as well with that pole position tonight under his belt already. He's sitting up there in the top 5 at the moment, battling it out with Neil Pearson and Foster. So really good fights going on the track just behind him. Lachlan Urquio leading the charge with Ruben Phelps, Joshua Carroll, and Scotty Griffiths and Daniel Hederscheid. So a lot of familiar faces up there, but in different positions than we usually expect to see them at this stage of the race.
That's for sure, but they're still doing really, really well nonetheless. Still in with a chance to win.
Oh, that's it. It's
Gary Wellman's back on the lead lap here now and up into 15th spot. He's doing pretty well. Riley Curtis.
Just as you said that, Matt, he had a big moment.
every time I look at somebody and say they're doing well, they half spin.
The curse is strong with you, my friend.
It's very good tonight. Yeah, the curse is very good tonight.
But yeah, it's nice to see them having some good races, and there's some really good racing going on all throughout the field at the moment. You've got Dave Douglas and Darren McKenzie here, Stevie Dove and Christopher Tomlin as well. Like Luke Trahere might have finally got back out on track as well. He's a fair few laps down, but he's managing to get back out there for a bit of fun in the 43, the way down machine.
Yeah, he must have had a bit of an issue to deal with, so he decided to park it up and deal with that. He's back out there now.
Caution flag is out though, as Jayden Curvis is facing the wrong way in the blue black Arrows car, and that thing is being beaten black and blue at the moment, as he's just got a little bit of extra grip on the exit there. Come up, and he's no fault of his own. Christopher Tomlin, wrong place at the wrong time for Jayden Curvis. Just made contact there, and it's spun the number 8 around.
Yeah, very unfortunate. They both sort of moved towards each other at the same time, really, and you see there, Tomlin came down just as Curvis came up, and yeah, Tomlin looks to have saved his one, and then Curvis went for a spin.
One of those weird little incidents you can get on this track with the dirt, of course, because you sort of don't expect a car to be in that spot necessarily. And it looks like Jamie had a huge amount of grip all of a sudden from nowhere, and it slingshotted him forwards, and he's just gone, oh, well, I'm going to take this. And then Tomlin's made contact. We've got cars in pit lane. Riley Curtis, Ruben Phelps, Dave Douglas, Lachlan Urquio, Gary Wellman all coming in. This is the 4th trip down pit lane for Riley Curtis. So he's been in quite a few times just tweaking bits. The pit stop champion at the moment is Brad Fenley with 5 trips down pit lane. And it's Josh Schultz with 9 trips down pit lane. That's quite a few trips down pit lane for Jai. But he's had some big damage on the car, so I think he's just been popping in whenever he can just to get some repairs. So it's been a bit of a rough one so far for Jai. We are on caution number 7 of the night, and it's been some good racing out here. We've seen some really good runs out here tonight, and a lot of these guys are not sort of dirt racing is not their forte, so to say. It's not their usual running. So to see them having such a good night is really nice stuff.
Yeah, and it's no coincidence the top 2 guys are guys that do drifting in real life. So, they're very used to handling a sideways car. It's no surprise to see them up the front.
Yeah, that little bit of experience can really help. And another driver that's got experience of sort of dirt, not necessarily dirt oval racing, but just dirt in general, is Norman Clark, of course, in the 09. He's currently sitting in ninth position in the green black arrows entry. But Norman Clark has a lot of experience racing on loose stuff. He's a former rally driver from South Africa, and he's got a vast array of experience in motorsport. So that little bit of knowledge just shining through here for Norman, and it'd be nice to see Storm and Norman having a good run here tonight.
It would be, yeah. As we see, lights are off on the pace track.
And we're about to go back to green flag racing, as a lot of these cars are still looking pretty good. A little bit of dirt on them, but other than that, they're still pretty clean, pretty in the right shape. It's round number 8 of the ANZCAR Cup season, round number 8 of 36, of course. And we are here at Bristol Dirt, so a very different racetrack. If you're joining us tonight for the first time, welcome, of course, and make sure to hit that subscribe button on Performance Stream to catch all the racing coming up this year. We're back to green flag racing, and out front it is Toby Stent in the lead. Still, as he gets a good run, Foster gets a good drive down the inside on Dyson at the moment, with Neil Pearson on at the back. So battle for P2 is absolutely furious at the moment, as they're 3 wide coming through the corner. Pearson in the middle, Foster on the inside, as the caution flag comes out, unfortunately early for that one. We were being treated to some great stuff, as Christopher Tomlin is pointing in the wrong direction, with a big incident between Christopher Tomlin, Ruben Phelps, Dave Douglas here. So this, I think, is the first big incident of the night with multiple cars. And Gary Wellman as well got caught up in that one. So did the 38 of Tom Neal. And Brad Fenley, I think, just managed to stop in the nick of time, but a lot of cars caught up in that one. That was a fairly hefty incident here, and that's brought round Ruben Phelps, Christopher Tomlin, and Dave Douglas sort of got away from that one. Stevie Dubb on the inside there, trying to avoid the incident, just makes contact with the wall, just the lightest of nudges, and Jamie O'Keefe has just got it checked up in time to make it through unscathed.
That looked like just a big checkup really in the corner, and wasn't much anyone could do really. There was a 3 or 4 car checkup there.
Yeah, it looks like maybe Ruben's just made a little bit of contact with Mackenzie, and that's sort of what the trickle down has happened, as Mackenzie was really close to Urquio as well. It's one of those racing incidents that you're going to get on the dirt, of course. There is not much room on a track like this, and when things go wrong, they go wrong very, very quickly.
They do indeed, and Bristol's very notorious for it's very hard to see around the corner, and you can find yourself screaming around the corner and straight into a pile up really. And so yeah, being on dirt with even less control would make it that even worse.
Bristol with tarmac is tricky to control a car on. Bristol with dirt is impossible. Really makes this place very, very has an extra set of challenges, of course. You may love it, you may hate it, or you may be ambiguous, but Bristol dirt, it's definitely a spectacle. That's where I'm going to go. That's about as much praise as I can give it. It's a spectacle. So it's Toby Stent in the lead with Andrew Dyson, Edwin Foster, Neil Pearson, Josh Carroll, Walden, Matty Ray, Norman Clark, Scotty Griffiths, Lachlan Urquhart, Darren McKenzie. And we've seen it a few times tonight with drivers that have been involved in those accidents. They've been back up in the top 10. Quite a few of those names we've seen pointing in the wrong direction or having spins or half spins, and they've then managed to get back up to the front. So that's been really good to see.
Has been, yeah. They can seem to be able to drive up through the field a lot easier than you normally would on a non-dirt race, oval race. So yeah, that's really good.
Great stuff to see. We've got 43 laps remaining, 87th lap of the race. Pace car lights are out, and we are about to go back to the green stuff here. And it is a green car in the lead of Toby Stent, the green flavour of Natari car, just ahead of, well, an Atari trio there with Foster and JCW on the low line. On the high line, it's a DPR duo with Matty Ray lining up the rear as we're about to go green once more. Toby Stent going to get a launch here. We're seeing the high line struggling to get off on the restarts. Will it be the same this time round? We are about to find out as we go back to green flag racing. It is Bristol Dirt, and it is the Cup. And Toby Stent once again gets in the launch. Foster gets a nice run on the inside here, looking to make a bit of a move. And JCW as well. He's trying to get up there, trying to defend against Neil Pearson. Foster gets up ahead of Dyson there. Very nice slide job by Foster. Just cuts Dyson's nose, just gets in front of him there. Dyson really pushing hard, trying to get that position back on Foster. JCW and Neil Pearson having a good run behind them as well. Side-by-side action. Norman Clark working his way up through the middle as well. As contact between Pearson and Dyson there. The teammates making contact with each other.
It was not ideal, but they did a really good job of holding on to that. And no harm, no foul by the looks of it. And Neil's managed to skip away.
The good thing about making contact with your teammates sometimes is that at least the same logos will appear on each car. So that's some good news for them. Stop them having a bigger accident. Just behind Lachlan Oakley is getting a good run as well on Norman Clark at the moment. Oakley on the high line just behind Andrew Dyson. There's all contact there on Norman Clark. He just saves it. May have got a big hit on the left front as well, but he looks like he's got through that one relatively unscathed. Cat-like reflexes giving him an extra 9 lives as well for Norman Clark.
Yeah, I thought we were going to see him get stuck on those barrels there, but he did a really good job of just staying off them, so really good. And he continues on in P10.
Yeah, that's going to be save of the night, I think. It's going to be tricky to beat that one. A little bit further up the field, we've got 3 wide action with Maddie Ray, Scotty Griffiths and Ruben Phelps. They were having a really good run up the front, just ahead of Norman Clark here. So we are back to this crazy racing once again, and we're seeing some really good runs from those drivers. But up the front, it is Stent leading away. He's running away with it at the moment, and he's been able to just pull away on every restart, having a fantastic run out here on the dirt. Foster just behind him with Neil Pearson. We saw Neil Pearson dropping through the field after a connection issue, but he's back up into P3 at the moment, having a solid run here tonight. JCW keeping up as Lachlan Oakbio's going into those. Lachlan Oakbio goes into those water barrels, and that's going to be his night. Sort of very tricky to get back from, as he's got to go through pit lane as well. That was a nasty little smack for 42.
Yeah, we might be able to grab a replay of that. Just have a look.
So he's running up just behind Andrew Dyson, and then all of a sudden he got loose. The car got a little bit more grip than he expected it to. Couldn't get it back on the right path, and straight into one of those barrels defending the concrete barrier of pit lane. And unfortunately, it's the wrong pit lane as well. So he's got to go all the way through that one and then around to the next one to get into his stall for repairs.
He's going to take a pit stop now, but he'll drop a number of laps. I think with that, a green flag pit stop, you would be looking at least 2 laps down.
As up the front, we have got some lap traffic coming into the mix. And I think like Jai Schultz is indeed. You'll have to forgive me as these cars have got so much dirt on the front now. Some of them, it's pretty tricky to tell which is which. It doesn't make things easy. I guess one good thing about Foster's one-off paint job tonight, he has put it in the brown, so at least it matches the dirt on the front of this car. Neil Pearson's still running well just behind him. As Jai Schultz has a big moment, but just saves it. And we are still running green lap 98, 32 laps to go here for Bristol, and we're still seeing some good racing going on as Andrew Dyson is having a great battle with JCW at the moment, and then just behind them and Maddie Ray and Scotty Griffiths have spread out a little bit, and Maddie Ray's catching on this fight. Dyson has a big plunk up into the wall ahead of JCW, and that's just lost him a little bit of momentum, so I think this fight is very much on at the moment.
We've also seen Pearson now catching right up on the back of Foster here.
They're getting very close to each other now, and Foster's going to be looking at Pearson just going, oh, yep, I want to keep out ahead of you. I want to try and keep up front for this one. I mean, if I can get a victory here, that will be a surprise, but I'll be happy with that as the caution flag flies.
see Riley Curtis, maybe? I think Riley's...
Oh, heavy contact there.
Oh, yeah.
And he's had to tow it back, I think, because that front suspension is no more. And that could have very easily been Norman Clark's fate as well. He got so very lucky to avoid those barrels. We've seen 2 drivers claimed by them tonight, Lachlan Nuclear and Riley Curtis now.
Yeah, it's pretty much identical to what happened to Norman, but Norman was just able to miss it, whereas Riley's not able to, and you can just see that left front tyre it's not hanging naturally there. That's definitely broken.
Yeah, big shame to see Riley out so in this race. A very pretty looking car with the RCD logo on it, the Riley Curtis design, of course. He does a lot for a lot of these drivers and a lot of us as well, who are helping us with designs and logos and things like that. Fantastic chap, Mr. Riley Curtis, and giving him a free shout out here tonight as well. A few drivers coming into pit lane as well, swapping some tyres, swapping some bits on the car, getting a few repairs done too. And that was Maddie Rain, Norman Clark, Ruben Phelps, Maddie Rain, Norman Clark, Ruben Phelps, and they've all come through pit lane. So we'll see if they've got a little bit more pace on this restart. But the leader's deciding to stick it out there at the moment. Be interesting to see how Foster goes on this restart, being on the high side, because we've seen a few times tonight that high side just struggling.
Yeah, I'm just wondering with those cars that came into the pit road, maybe they might know something about tyre pressures. They can sort of really tweak those tyre pressures for a short run to the end. Hopefully that will help them charge up to the front.
Yeah, as I say, I don't imagine there's too much tyre wear. But there will still be some form of tyre wear, and maybe that could be an advantage to have some fresher boots on it. As you can tell, as always at Performance e-streaming, we're 100% prepared for tonight's race. It's been awkward. Normally, like last year, I would have jumped in for a bit of a test drive and had a bit of a run in the car to get a bit of an idea of what was happening. This year, not so much of a chance to do that kind of thing, and especially on the dirt stuff, I can't do that at the moment. So it just adds a little bit of a thing where we have to just go up, just eyeballing it effectively. As I think we've got Riley Curtis just sitting down below, and I'll just grab him up quickly to see how he's going. Riley Curtis, I'd say welcome to the broadcast booth. We would not like to see you at a time like this, of course. How's it going out there? How are you going to be able to get back out on track tonight, or is your race done?
No, I think that's done, but boys, that was funny. I got tears in my eyes from laughing at that.
You had a good run out there, at least.
I wouldn't say it was good. I had a run, but what do you do?
Oh well. Hopefully we'll see you having a better run in the near future. We've seen a few cars pop. Just a quick question, actually, being that you've driven out there. We've seen a few cars popping into pit lane a fair few times. Tyres, is it making any difference?
I wouldn't say new tyres, but probably playing with pressures.
Okie dokie. Good to know. Thank you so much, Riley. We'll pop you down as we're about to go back to green. Hopefully we'll see you back in the booth for some better circumstances in the near future.
Easy weeks and enjoy the rest of the call.
Riley Curtis there, and shame to see him out so early, but a lot of damage on that car. There's always a lot of action going on just behind, as we've got almost 4 wide as McLeod trying to get his nose up through early in that run. There's a lot of action going on behind. Just trying to see who that was in the green car. It's Gary Wellman up there. Gary Wellman. I was trying to figure out which green car that was, and Gary Wellman is back on the lead lap. He's also up into P6 at the moment, battling it out with Ruben Phelps on his side. So having a really good run back up here, the Sim Boys entry, having a good run up to the front. It is Toby Stent in the lead with Neil Pearson just behind him at the moment. Foster there still battling it out, but he's dropped a position as we suspected on that highline restart. Just fell back a spot, and now Dyson is all over the back end with the JCW.
Neil's having a crack for the lead as well, although he hasn't got a great exit on that corner.
As he goes, he's going for that very high line at the moment, seeing if that's going to work for him. But the caution flag flies once more here, once more at Bristol, and I think that might be for Tom Neal in the area 51 car. As he's had, it looks like he's had a bit of help going around there.
I think he's got the wall here, and it's just slowed him down. And oh no, he's just self-spun, and then yeah, Tomlin's just come through and hit him with nowhere to go.
Another one of his incidents where it was not anywhere to go, couldn't slap on the brakes, and yeah, that's brought out the caution flag here tonight. And I imagine Toby Stent's going to go, oh, I wish these caution flags would not keep coming out. I've been having some good runs, building up some good gaps. Every time I get a gap, it disappears. So we are once again under caution flag 2 tonight here at Bristol. But we have seen some very good racing as well. So, you know, that's always nice. And hopefully we're going to see a bit more as we're going to have a short run to the finish. It'd be nice to see green all the way to the end. Brad Fenley is going to be getting a wave around in the Aussie Beer Motorsport car, the VB sponsored car, looking glorious tonight as most of it is covered in mud, so you can't see that VB logo, but he's going to get the wave around here and get back on the lead lap. We're not prejudiced against any beers here, but VB is the worst. It was my first experience of Australian beer, actually, VB, when I landed back a long time ago at the Clipsal 500, as it was back then, and got off the plane, grabbed a beer, went to the track, and yeah, it was a bad experience. I've got to say that. But Toby Stent is back up the front, and well, this is going to give Foster the chance to get that low line restart again. Will we see him powering away and getting the jump on Neil Pearson tonight, or will he fall back in line? It's been some really strong runs out there tonight, and some really strong performances. Biggest mover of the race so far is Edward Foster with 13 spots gained. Joshua Carroll-Walden, the second biggest mover with 12 at the moment. And it's still really, it's one of those races I would not like to put money on who's going to get it, because it's going to be interesting to see. Still could be anybody getting the victory, but you've got to say Toby Stent has been, it's been going very, very well for him, and he's been looking very strong tonight. So it'd be unwise to bet against him. And yeah, he's having a fairly solid run out there with Neil Pearson as well, who's been very strong as well, actually. Remember, Neil Pearson had that spin earlier in the race when the connection issue hit, and he fell back. But we'll see how that one goes. We're about to restart here. We are going to have 15 laps remaining. A shootout to the end. Who's going to get this? The aggression levels will be turned up fully for the end of this race now. Who is going to get this one? We will soon find out in 15 or so laps. Toby said it's got to do that restart again, and every restart he's been good. He gets another good restart. That low line seems to start well, but Pearson's got it figured out up high this time round. Pearson making a bit of a lunge, trying to get up past Toby Stent, but Stent holds it. Foster now looking to get the run on Pearson. Will he make the move? Dyson up there as well as JCW. Watch out for those. Matty Ray, Ruben Phelps just behind them. Foster looking to get a good run here. He's got the run on the inside of Pearson, but now he's just got to power it off. He doesn't quite get there as Andrew Dyson's getting the move now. Dyson up on the high side. Foster right low. Pearson was in the middle, but now he's up high. Middle, so close to contact between Pearson and Dyson there. They are really racing hard with each other. No team orders in DPR tonight. Just ordering themselves to get a victory by the looks of it. Or at least try, because Toby Stent has got away like a scolded dog, pulling out almost a 8/10 of a second gap at the front. But Neil Pearson gets the better of that restart up into P2 at the moment with Foster at P3.
Looking back here, looked like we were going to go 3 wide there for about 9th spot, but only 2 wide.
There's a lot of action still going on the track. We still have 18 cars running tonight, so still quite a few cars out there on the field tonight. Maddie Ray and JCW having a good run, and Maddie Ray getting a bit of a passing move on the 35 here. Looks like Maddie Ray's got a nice bit of a move on there and got an extra spot. So all out position at Warfare at the moment. Foster and Dyson still battling away just in front of Maddie Ray. Tell you what, could be a good onboard view from Maddie Ray right now to watch this fight because they are really going for it. Well, if there wasn't so many bars in the way.
We can jump on the nose. There we are. Let's jump on the nose of Maddie Ray.
Maddie Ray's slightly better point of view from Maddie Ray, but you can see there from the front this battle going on, and as they're fighting, Maddie Ray's just sitting there going, this is giving me a chance, boys, keep on fighting, as I might get a bit of a run here. So very close out there as the racing continues on. And just looking through the top 10 at the moment, they are all racing pretty hard. There's a few gaps sort of filling themselves out now, as we've only got 7 laps remaining. So the drivers really have to go for it now to try and get a good position for the end of this race. We are going to be on lap 124 in the near future. 6 laps remaining here tonight, so it is going very, very quickly indeed. As Toadstead still in the lead up the front as they're just catching up to a couple of lap cars now. Brad Fenley just going down a lap, and you can see all very close from Neil Pearson there. And Andrew Dyson's just had to lift the throttle a little bit there as well. So lap cars now getting into the mix and just causing drivers just have to drive some different lines here. So that could be some passing opportunities later in this stage. As we're coming up to 5 laps, there's all bit of contact between Dyson and Tom Neal there.
That was just a bit awkward there, Tom, unfortunately, on the Highline lap car. And Andrew just, unfortunately had nowhere else to go but into the back from there. Just a gentle tap.
That little bit of momentum loss could be the chance for Foster to try and make a move on Dyson here, as they are really working hard. This is the main fight on the track at the moment, the battle for P3. As Foster, he's going to loop it. He gets around, he just saves it. No, he doesn't. He goes up, collects Ruben Phelps. He's going to bring out the caution.
Yeah, he tried his best to try and get out of that, but just couldn't.
Alright, so all gone wrong there. Tried to save it the best he could, and then unfortunately it spat him out on track, and Ruben Phelps got a big cling on that one, but kept the car in the right direction. So Phelps' night is still very much on, as long as he didn't get too much damage. But the big loser in that one, I'd actually say, is Gary Wellman. He got a pretty heavy hit in that incident.
Just see the car, just an entry, just over-rotated. Tried to bring it back, and then as he comes back here, trying to get going, but unfortunately just comes out in the way, and Phelps unfortunately gets a piece of it. And then Gary Wellman
has nowhere to go in that one. And
if you're already sideways, it's pretty hard to change where you're going.
Yeah, it's hard to control a car when it's sideways, and the other thing for Gary Wellman there, he probably didn't even see Foster until the moment he made contact. The way he was pointing in that direction, you don't get a huge amount of view there, as I think we're on board here with Wellman, so we'll get an idea of what Wellman sees here. So he's going to be looking down towards the apex, and then all of a sudden he's going to glance up. He probably doesn't see Foster, and then bump into him.
Yeah, it's
so
very hard to change the line, and that once you're sideways there, and unfortunately for all drivers involved. But it means that Foster only ends up dropping down to 7th position, I think, there, and so the damage is not too bad for him.
No, he's going to be sitting next to Ruben Phelps, who just got through that one. He got clipped, but he sort of saved it up in the wall. So a little bit of birthday gift there for Ruben Phelps for not getting a huge wreck. But he's sort of got a little bit of a hit there. We're going to have a green-white checker for this one. So if you're new to oval racing, the green-white checker means that we go back to getting a lap to run, get a green lap, and then the white flag will come out, and then we finish the race. So effectively, the next flag will finish the race. If we get a caution, the race is over. If we run to the end, we will see the checkered flag. So we are very much towards the end of this race. Toby Stent just has to do one more restart here, and he could be looking at victory lane for the second time this year in the Cup Series, but the first time when it really matters. Of course, he got the win at the Coliseum. Could he get another win at the last great Coliseum here at Bristol? And if he does, I think he's going to hope that every racetrack is named a Coliseum in the near future. Neil Pearson, though, is going to do his best to stop that from happening. And Andrew Dyson could have a bit of a chance here as well. Watch out for Matty Ray. He's been quick all night as well. Joshua Carroll-Walden is always happy to send it to. So we could be in for a grandstand finish here. Pace track lights are out. We're about to go back to green flag racing. It is the final chance of racing now. We are in green white checkered conditions, and we will be going back for the racing very shortly here at Quality Streaming. Pace truck is in, and we are about to get that start. Dyson right on the back of Stent, trying to get an idea when he launches it, and Stent gets a fantastic start there. Looks like Neil Pearson's going to try and get the run on the inside. He's getting the run, He's really trying for it. He's really going for it at the moment. Toby Stent keeps the lead, but Neil Pearson is really trying for a slide job. Just misses out there, just gets past by Toby Stent as the white flag will fly. One more lap to go. Toby Stent in the lead. It is the battle of DPR cars just behind him as Pearson and Dyson fight it out. Will Matty Ray be able to do something here? Looks like Toby Stent has only got one more corner to go. Gets sideways through there, gets onto the power, and it's going to be Toby Stent for Natari taking the victory here tonight, just ahead of Andrew Dyson and Neil Pearson.
Wow, that was an awesome finish. That was super clean there too, and that was really good. I don't think they made any contact at all, and they were right beside each other, and not very far away from each other, and there was no contact.
Great stuff there. Really, some really, really exciting racing out there tonight as Matty Ray forgets to pit it. He's too busy chatting on the radio saying how good the race was and forgot to go into pit lane. But Toby Stent is going to come around and, he can try and do some donuts, but that's not going to really happen on the dirt here tonight.
No.
So let us, going to try. I guess he could go into one of the pit lanes and try and do a bit of a burnout, but the donuts are here. He's going to try his best to do some donuts on the dirt. Some donuts with some chocolate icing on them, maybe. But Toby Stent getting his first Cup victory in when it matters here tonight at the last great Coliseum. It's Toby Stent for Natari with a 189 in victory lane tonight. So let's run through the finishing order. It is Toby Stent getting the win here tonight with Andrew Dyson in second, Neil Pearson coming in third, Matty Ray coming in fourth position. He's going to be chuffed with that, I'm sure. Joshua Carroll-Walden comes home fifth, just ahead of Foster. Scotty Griffiths having a strong run tonight with Norman Clark as well, 7th and 8th. 9th place for Ruben Phelps on his birthday, and Darren McKenzie rounding out the top 10. As we go over the page, it's Brad Fenley who comes home in 11th spot with Christopher Tomlin in 12th, 13th for Wellman, 14th for Quio, Stevie Dubb in 15th, Jai Schultz 16th, Tom Neal in 17th, 18th for Nick Curvis, Riley Curtis 19th, and Dave Douglas in 20th spot. As we go over the page, it's Daniel Hedderscheid in 21st with Michael Skerlock and Luke Traher out early doors. So some great racing here tonight at Bristol, and we saw some really good racing out here tonight, which is nice because sometimes you sort of get a little bit anxious for the start of these races because you don't know how it's going to run.
Especially being a very hard track to drive. We've seen a number of drivers just opted not even to race tonight. So yeah, well done, and good on everybody who did turn up. Even if you are not the strongest dirt driver, it was good to have you there and filling up the field.
Absolutely. So what we might do is we will grab up our third place finisher. The 62 DPR car. It is the red flavour of DPR, and it is Mr. Neil Pearson. Neil, welcome to the booth, mate. Congratulations on a podium here tonight in what looks like a very fun race out there tonight.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad for such a stupid event, but yeah, it's good to come away with third.
It's nice to hear that you're absolutely supporting this race. Um, it wasn't a clean night for yourself. It looked like you had a bit of a moment as the internet decided it was going to disappear from you, and all of a sudden it comes back, and you find yourself pointing in slightly in the wrong direction.
What happened was my hard drive filled up, and then a pop-up came up. So my screens went from like full triples down to a single screen. So it didn't like that, and then that caused me to, like lose control of the car. And I think I bought out of caution. So.
Well, that explains that one. I mean, yeah, hard drive filling up is never a fun thing to happen, but good news that you got through that one relatively unscathed, and it meant that we got to watch you fight your way back up to the front. Some good racing there at the end, but it looked like your damn pesky teammate just pipped you.
Yeah, I was trying to get under Toby, and I locked up fronts because he cut back down quite a bit more than I was expecting. And rather than spin him out, I locked up the fronts, and I lost a bit of momentum. And that pesky teammate, got around me. So, if we're at concrete, we know what would happen there. So
You got to wreck him next time. That's it. Just don't let him have that moment.
Exactly right.
You've got to assert dominance over these young drivers, Neil. Otherwise they walk all over you.
That's it. The young whippersnappers.
Oh, disgraceful stuff. Look, it was a great run from yourself tonight. Thank you for the entertainment. We'll do personal shout out tonight and leave all the hard work up for Dyson.
You guys for the broadcast and ANZCAR for the series. NASCAR, I'm not going to thank for the dirt. They can get stuffed. Just Andrew for second, and Toby for the win. He drove it well and deserved it. So.
Thank you so much, Neil. We'll hopefully see you back in the booth in the very near future, back on the proper stuff, back on the tarmac.
Hopefully.
Thank you. Neil Pearson there for DPR. Next up, we're going to grab up his teammate in the orange flavour of DPR car. It is the 41, Mr. Andrew Dyson. Dyson, welcome to the booth, mate. Congratulations on P2 tonight. Looked like you were having some fun out there.
Yeah, it was, man. It was really good. Had a lot of good racing with a lot of dudes, especially Neil at the end. It was cool.
Yeah, you just pipped your teammate there, just proving who's the better driver of the DPR cars tonight. So that's always fun. Some really good racing out there, though. We saw, obviously, we're going to get a few cautions, but the racing we did see was very close out there. Obviously, looked like you had a bit of a handle on the car going sideways as well.
Yeah, going sideways was cool. It was actually getting it sideways, like to get sideways was the thing that I was kind of. I worked it out eventually, and was working it out. But yeah, so many times I was coming into 1 and 3, and I thought, yep, all right, I've loosened it up. She's good to go, and then I'd just be, all on the front tire, understeering everywhere. Like, oh, what am I doing? But I sussed it out eventually, and was doing okay. But yeah, not the fastest car out there, that's for sure.
Well, we did see a few cars popping into pit lane a couple of times. So yourself and Toby Stunt just popped in the one time. Did you do much changing or tinkering on the car to make it any better, or did you just keep it as it was?
No, we had a plan. Like, we sussed it out before the race, and then we trialed it in the warm up, and we thought, yeah, that's going to be pretty good. So we dropped the tire pressures, and I probably went in a bit too early. Maybe I should have waited a bit longer for another yellow. But as it turned out, there was enough yellows that I didn't really have to worry about running out of fuel anyway. So worked out pretty good.
No, absolutely. It worked out very well, almost making it to the top tonight on the dirty stuff. Obviously, being on the dirt, it is a very different surface to race on. And in these cars, how do you feel racing this car on the dirt?
I haven't spent a whole lot of time on dirt. If I have raced a fair bit of dirt, it's just street stocks. I think they're pretty fun, but everything else I'm not very good at, so I stay out of it. But I don't know. It probably looks like we're all pretty pro out there relatively to each other, but at the end of the day, I think the reality is that we're all just wobbling around and just hanging on to it out there. So I think the good way to sum it up is it's pretty wild.
Just failing upwards in the race. That's how you got to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
No, really good run tonight out there, Daiso. Always a pleasure to watch you get in the car sideways. Congratulations on P2. Before I let you go, though, all the hard work of thanking those sponsors and everybody in general.
Yep, for sure, man. Yep, thanks all you guys for coming for a race tonight. Even though it's dirt, not everyone's super enthusiastic about it, but a few boys got out there anyway. It was actually pretty clean, so not as many yellows as we kind of expected, so that was good as well. Pat on the back to all the boys, and yeah, quick one to Simrigs, South Wales, BMX, Phoenix Smokers, Neil for paint jobs as always, and yeah, looking forward to next week.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Daiso. Congratulations tonight, and I'm sure we'll see you back in the booth in the near future.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
Andrew Dyson there for DPR. And finally tonight, we are going to be grabbing up our race winner. It is the 189 for Latari. It is Toby Stead. Toby, welcome back to the booth, mate. It's been a bit of a dry spell since the last time we raced at a Coliseum. But the great Coliseum, the last great Coliseum, proved fruitful tonight as you got victory.
Yes, I'm stoked. I'm so stoked. Finally, I was getting a bit worried there. I was sort of having some pretty bad runs, and sort of out of my control a few times. So I was getting pretty frustrated. So I'm so stoked. I finally got one. Yeah, I ran a race last night and I led a lot of laps, and then I got sort of dicked on a pit call. So tonight, obviously leading a fair few laps, I was just waiting for something to happen and lose it. So no, I'm stoked. I couldn't be happier.
Now, are you going to put in a call to have every track named a Coliseum? Because they seem to go very well on those.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I mean, I suppose I don't know what it says because it's almost like the Mickey Mouse tracks have sort of gone well at right. Bristol Dirt and the Coliseum have sort of been pretty good. So I'd like obviously now I mean there could be more than 10 winners, but the pressure's off a little bit in terms of the playoffs. So I'll be able to sort of go for it a bit more than sort of having to worry about points too much. So it'd be good to get a win on a real track, I suppose, quote unquote, right? But I mean, yeah, win's a win, and I think I was pretty dominant compared to everyone else tonight, so that felt pretty good to sort of get it in. I didn't luck into it, I suppose. So yeah, I'm really happy.
Now, obviously, you've got a vast experience of dirt racing. I heard it in the qualifying servers.
No, this is my first dirt race, so
yeah. Just to make everybody jealous there. Yeah.
Yeah, no, first time I've ever raced on dirt. Oh, actually, tell a lie. I did do like a fun race in these last year, but like that was it. And obviously never with these cars with the setups they have, never raced any dirt street stocks or sprint cars or anything. So my background's in drifting, and I don't mind sliding a car around. And these I don't think really drive like a dirt car does in terms of they don't sort of squat down on the right rear and that sort of thing. So that probably plays into my hands a little bit more over people that are really good at dirt because they don't quite drive like a dirt car does. I think, right? I'm not 100% sure because I haven't driven them, but as far as I'm aware, they sort of don't quite drive like a dirt car does. So that sort of played into my hands too. But I yeah, just sending it every lap. Basically, it was full blast and just going for it. And there was a few close calls, and I appreciate Pearson and Dicer for not cleaning me out at the end because they could obviously be a bit more aggressive and dirty, but they raced me clean, and everyone at the front was racing pretty clean, so that was good fun.
Absolute great job, Toby. I mean, this is going to convert you to dirt racing, I'm sure, but like a fantastic job out there tonight.
Yeah, no, I've got enough on my plate with driving these, trying to do something in the next gens, right? I'm still quite new to iRacing, so I'm still trying to catch up to everyone else that's had a couple more years on iRacing compared to me. So now I'll keep working at it. I love the next gens. It's such a good fun car to drive. So we'll like I said, try and get a win on a not a Mickey Mouse track, and see what we can do. Obviously, I'm going to have to win on some normal tracks if I want to get anywhere in the playoffs. So we'll just have to see, but long way away for that. So just good I can concentrate and having fun and just going hard and see what happens.
Absolutely, it's great to have that pressure off. Now, before we let you go, the big job of shout outs to the sponsors and the teammates, and got a lovely shot on the screen at the moment of those rookie stripes, and I'm sure you're going to be proud to get them off very soon because you're performing way better than a rookie should.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's I mean, I'm a genuine rookie, right? This is the first time I've got into a full sort of season long, and a lot of these tracks I haven't raced on before, so I think I am a rookie, but yeah, I'm doing my best. So no, I just obviously want to shout out all the Natari guys, Ed in particular, obviously for bringing me on this year, and he was really good in this race. We sort of had a few restarts nose to tail, and we worked pretty good, and he was doing his best to sort of slide up in front of the guys so they couldn't get a run at me. So obviously a huge thanks to Ed for really taking one for the team there and not trying to pass me, but just trying to play the defensive as best he could. So that was really cool of him. Obviously AJD Group, Fully Flawed, Turbo Alpha Japan, and yeah, that's our lovely sponsors on our lovely looking cars, and yeah, hopefully come back and talk to you guys again in another couple of weeks. It'd be nice.
No, absolutely. Hopefully, we'll get you back in the booth in a very near future. But for tonight, Toby Stone, enjoy your victory here at Bristol Dirt, and the Coliseum master himself, Toby Stone, can have a bit of a relax now. Thanks for joining us, mate.
Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Toby Stone there for Natari, and well, you heard it here. First time dirt racing properly and gets the win. That just says a lot about the skill of Toby Stone out there. So great run out here tonight, Matt. And look, we saw some good action, but we've got a weekend off for the action, which is nice for us. We've got a little bit of a break here at Performance E-Streaming, but we will be back with you in a week's time with the Xfinity and the Cup Series, of course. And I've completely drawn a blank where we're racing next, Matt.
So for the Thunder Series, we're at Talladega Wednesday night. That will be our next broadcast, yeah, because we don't have a Sunday broadcast this week, as the V8 Series is taking a week off. And then next Thursday, let me bring it up here, we will be at Martinsville, another short track, but this time without dirt.
Yes, probably about as much grip as the dirt, but it is a very short track. The paperclip will be always an interesting track to race on. And of course, Talladega, the super speedway for the Xfinity cars, should be an interesting run for those. So we hope you can join us next week for all of that action. But for tonight, we will say good night. I hope you've enjoyed this one. From myself, Carl Wilkinson, with you, Mr. Matty Hunter, wish you a good night and see you again in the near future. Bye-bye.